There you go. Perfect. Yeah, so just first and foremost, thank you so much for joining me, Catherine. If you could just give me a bit of a background about yourself, how did you first get into your coaching, and what sports or wellness activity you specialise in?
Perfect. So I'm originally from Bristol. I have spent most of my adult life actually living in southwest London. I teach mat and reformer Pilates. I got into it. How did I get into it? So I first got into Pilates about 4 years ago on a business trip to Los Angeles. I was feeling really lost. I was suffering from really bad anxiety and I was craving some sort of routine, which then I realized actually maybe I need to incorporate some regular exercise into my life. I'd never really been a fan of the gym or the kind of like muscle heads in the gym. It just wasn't really my vibe. So I started looking for some alternatives. I looked at yoga, and then yoga's fine, but I didn't kind of love it. And that was when I came across a boutique reformer Pilates studio. And since then, I haven't really looked back.
Nice. And you said that you were sort of put off going to the gym. What was the main thing that you didn't like about it?
I guess it's like I didn't really know what to do in the gym, to be honest. I've done a few like HIIT classes and weight training like scattered around throughout my life, but without the kind of direction, I didn't really know what to do. And I found it quite intimidating as a female going in there with lots of guys who are very muscly or girls that just know what they're doing. I felt quite intimidated.
Fair enough. And you said that you sort of use Pilates as a way to sort of combat anxiety. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so Pilates is actually, in my opinion, one of the best exercises to help with anxiety. Firstly, we focus a lot on our breathing. So when you're super anxious, your breath becomes faster and shallow. And being able to slow down your breath, take really deep breaths, breathing from your diaphragm, then enables you to actually relax. So this is something that would reduce your heart rate, your blood pressure, and also counteract your stress levels as well. So it's just a great tool for anxiety, and it can even help with panic attacks. Pilates breathing has been known to help with panic attacks in the past as well. So that's probably one of the first things. And then secondly, Pilates takes a lot of focus and concentration, often meaning you get through the session and you actually feel like you've done a bit of a mental workout as well as a physical workout. And it also forces you to fully concentrate on your body, which basically stops you being distracted and clears your mind. So I think as a holistic exercise, it's really beneficial for anxiety.
Amazing. And is it sort of the breathing and that techniques that you do initially, and then go into the more kind of physical stretching and sort of more mobility movements?
100%. So the breath work would kind of start. You go over at the beginning, and you'll continue it through the practice. But I don't know if you've done Pilates yourself. No.
Oh, I need to try it.
So it's a lot harder than people think. I actually train an ex-army guy, and he couldn't quite believe, he's been in the army, and he couldn't believe how hard Pilates is. So I think that's definitely saying something. It's definitely a lot more strenuous than people think.
What do you think's the toughest aspect to it?
So it's a lot of you focus a lot on the core, and you're building strength. So it's a lot of repetitive movements on one muscle group.
Right, okay.
So when you're used to kind of playing sport, or you're just athletic in general, you will actually find it super hard, because that's kind of an all-over fitness. I mean, F45, again, all-over fitness, those type of classes. Whereas Pilates is about kind of lengthening and sculpting and really honing in on those specific muscle groups.
Okay. So for someone that was sort of looking to go into Pilates, maybe strengthening your core would be a good step, or is it just a case of just going into Pilates and strengthening your core through just beginning?
So Pilates, a lot of Pilates actually focuses on the core. So that's like the powerhouse. So everything's kind of centered around the powerhouse. So if you've ever, I don't know, been sat at your desk all day and you suffer from back pain, that might be because your core is not actually strong enough. So working on that core can combat back pain. And it's basically building, the core is the focus, and everything else is kind of built around it. So it's you'll see a lot of people do tend to get good cores and good abs from Pilates. It's not necessarily the only thing, but it's a big part of the focus, and obviously the breathing helps with that core as well, building those muscles alone.
Nice. And sort of how quickly and how often should you do Pilates to become quite sort of proficient at it from a sort of beginner level?
Yeah, so there's no kind of rule of thumb. You can start Pilates anywhere. I do a lot of rehab with clients that have been previous athletes, that have never done Pilates before, or that train every single day and have done loads of Pilates and want to really push themselves. So it's really a kind of one size fits all. There's no rule who can and can't do it. It's beginner to advanced, and there's many steps along the way. To get kind of, back to your question, to get kind of to see changes in your body, I'd probably say you start around 4 weeks to actually build baseline strength, maybe 6 to 8 weeks, and probably 12 weeks to really make a difference and for everyone else to kind of see it. So you have to be patient with yourself and your body, and that would probably be doing maybe at least 3 sessions a week for kind of half an hour to 45 minutes.
Okay. And what's the difference between someone, say, learning Pilates on their own compared to actually having a coach to sort of teach them how to do it?
Yeah, so I really value both online and in person. Sorry, my dogs are just barking in the background.
No worries at all. Just carry on. It's fine.
So online is great because you can do it from anywhere in the world. And say you do train in person and you go away for a few weeks, you can still be consistent and have online sessions. But I think to get the real most out of the sessions, it's best to do them in person. Pilates it's almost an art form, and small little tweaks, kind of similar to golf. So technique is everything. Yeah. So really small little tweaks can completely change the exercise.
Okay. And can you talk me through the sort of different types of Pilates there are? I know there's sort of reformer, mat. I think there's sort of weight-based Pilates as well. Is it sort of a combination of all that you do, or is there one that you particularly do?
Yeah, so I started learning actually reformer to start with, but do you know what? Reformer and mat Pilates, you can do the same things on both. It's basically having a machine and using like a foam roller to improvise. So it's not that one's better than the other. There's probably slightly more things you can do with the machine. And I personally think for rehab, the machine is great because it provides some resistance. But again, both are brilliant, and you can incorporate. I actually have it's like a cardio trampoline, and you whack it on the end of the reformer, and that's actually high intensity, like cardio reformer. So that's another avenue that you can do. And again, with mat Pilates, if you want to add in some cardio bursts, really to get that heart rate racing, then again, you can do that. And then there's also pre and postnatal. So obviously if you're having a baby or after you've had a baby, then that's great for those people as well. There's just certain kind of exercises you need to be careful with, but you can definitely, you can help them. We do a lot of pelvic floor work as well, so that's brilliant for pre and postnatal. So women especially do obviously want to do Pilates.
Oh, brilliant. So it sounds like you could almost do Pilates at sort of any age or ability. It sounds like it's very sort of accessible and easy, just sort of suitable for people to get into.
Yeah, it's because it's a low impact exercise. So we do, again, a lot of the stuff is rehab people that play football in their younger years and actually hurt their back because they didn't stretch properly, because they didn't do this, that then want to do some sort of exercise, but they can't run anymore because they've had injuries. So it's definitely an exercise you can start at any age, and you can really go on until any age as well. So it's definitely a longevity exercise.
Brilliant. And I'm guessing if you, the earlier you start, sort of the better you'll feel as you sort of get older and being more flexible and sort of being more mobile later on in life. It sounds like it's something that can obviously, help your flexibility and make you feel great over the long period.
Exactly. So posture, flexibility, and we are in this digital age where we're hunched over our phones, hunched over laptops. So in my opinion, it's more important than ever. And yeah, it's really something that if you start now, you'll reduce even if you do it alongside other sports, you'll actually reduce your injuries, because we work on joints, we work on strengthening the joints, we work on the core that strengthens those back muscles. So there's many positive aspects of Pilates.
Yeah, physically, and as we spoke about earlier, sort of the mental benefits as well. I mean, in a world that's so fast moving with so many distractions, short attention spans, it sounds like Pilates is a world where you can just go to your mat and yet sort of really get caught up in it, by doing the breathing and then focusing on what you're doing on the mat, and then by the end of it, I suppose you sort of lose track of time. Is that sort of how it feels?
100%. It's kind of like your time to focus on you, your mind, and your body, and no one can take that away from you. And that is so valued in this day and age. So yeah, hugely important.
Yeah. And something that we ask coaches is sort of what's your philosophy? What kind of drives you, and what kind of philosophy do you live by when you're teaching your clients?
Yeah, so I would always say strive for progression, not perfection. We can all work a little harder, but there is no such thing as perfection, because everyone's is a subjective word.
Yeah.
Do be consistent, and if you are consistent, you will meet your goals.
Brilliant. That's an absolutely fantastic answer. Thank